Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We are going into our final segment here. Today we have talked about the 49ers. We've talked about the head coaching carousel. We just wrapped up talking about Doc Rivers being hired by the Milwaukee Bucks. We are finishing off the show today by talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. If you missed any of the previous segments, check out our YouTube to get those. But for now, we will be moving on to the last segment of the day, the Los Angeles Lakers. So last night, they lost to the LA Clippers 127-116 in the first night of NBA rivalry night, which a lot of people are sort of coming at it saying it's maybe corny and that they are trying too hard to force rivalries and such. I think it's cool. I know that, the NBA isn't quite as packed with rivalries as maybe it once was, but it does still have some intriguing back and forths. Like one, for example, that I think that people are just sort of overlooking to a little bit of a degree is the San Antonio Spurs and the OKC Thunder who are playing. Now, I know both of these teams are very different in talent and expectations as it currently stands, but I think that Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren is actually a very compelling matchup. I know that it wasn't good the last time that they played, but Wemby is so much better now than he was at the time. This was within the first month of the season. I think that he's leaps and bounds better than he was when the league started. So that's just a quick aside on this rivalry week initiative from the NBA. Last night, the Lakers played in one of these matchups, and they lost to their rival across the town, to the Clippers. Now, LeBron James did not play in this game. He had an ankle injury, so he sat this one out. And despite that, the Lakers were actually still in this game. They had a 2-point game a couple times in the fourth quarter, but just couldn't get it done. The Clippers are a very good team this season. They are missing their center, Ivica Zubac, right now. So both teams a little shorthanded, but the Lakers obviously are so much more reliant on LeBron James than the Clippers are Zubac. So the Lakers fall to 22-23. They fall under 500 once again. They are the 9th seed in the Western Conference. The teams that are ahead of them right now, the 8th-seeded Dallas Mavericks, 7th-seeded Sacramento Kings. Phoenix has climbed up from the struggle that they were under. The Pelicans are up there, and then all the usual suspects that are at the top of the conference that the Lakers probably don't have to worry about because they are probably not catching that. I think that when you look at the Lakers in general, right? For me, I just want to sort of get out ahead of this. If the Lakers are in a playoff series, they're a scary team. Especially because if they are healthy, I have no doubt that LeBron James can elevate his game to a level that we don't see on a night-to-night basis during the regular season. I think a microcosm of that was the in-season tournament where he was tremendous during the run because, for various different reasons, I think that he was trying to help the NBA sort of raise the platform of this in-season tournament, get more people invested in it. He was phenomenal. And then obviously Anthony Davis in the finals of that game was a monster. So I don't doubt that those two stars can be just as good of a duo as anybody else in the league when they fully want to bring it out. The concern for them, though, is the fact that despite these two players who Anthony Davis has been sort of made fun of for a handful of years now for not being able to stay healthy, LeBron James, currently 39 years old, they've been actually present and playing in just about every game so far this season. LeBron has played in 40 of their 45 games. Anthony Davis has only missed 2 games, playing in 43 of 45 games. So having these stars be as available as they have been, and for two guys that haven't been quite as available in the past handful of seasons, and still being sub 500 is a concern to me. Now, again, you get to that play-in tournament, everything sort of changes, but I don't think that they're going to have what it takes really to climb their way out of the 7 through 10 seed to avoid being a part of the play-in tournament in general. And I think that they're going to need to make some moves on their roster because they have a lot of fine players. Like D'Angelo Russell is fine, and if you just look at his stats, he's having a very impressive scoring season. But it's just tough when you consider the defense, some of the decision making from him. He's making a lot of money, which sort of restricts their other moves. Now, it almost seemed like him and Rui Hachimura, the Lakers, signed them to these contracts to help make them be able to pair up with other potential stars come the trade deadline. I think that one guy in particular that they were really looking at trying to acquire was Kyrie Irving. There were reports that Kyrie was even mutually interested during LeBron's playoff run and during the offseason of coming to the Lakers, but the Mavericks are currently ahead of the Lakers in the standings right now. And, if you are Kyrie and the Mavericks, I think that your ceiling probably isn't as high as the Lakers is, especially if Kyrie were to go to LA. But I think that Kyrie's probably a little happy with where he is right now. I think that him and Luka have definitely developed a better relationship this year than they had last year. And they're getting a lot of very good production from some role players. Dante Exum, Grant Williams, Derek Lively, their first round rookie. Derek Jones Jr. has proven me wrong. I was not high on him at all, and when I saw he was starting games for them, I was very concerned, but he's doing what he needs to as a 3-and-D player. Josh Green has been playing well recently. So, Maxi Kleber, I think coming off the bench, this was a guy who was forced into that starting role for a while, and it's like, that's sort of a hole. Now, him coming off the bench, I think, is a totally different monster. I think that he's a good presence on both ends. So I actually like this Mavericks team more than I was expecting to. And I don't know if Kyrie is going to be an available piece for them to add. So then you start looking around. It's like, well, who are the other stars that are going to be available? Zach LaVine is a name that's been shopped around a lot. And Zach LaVine, I definitely, if he were traded to the Lakers and became a better player, bought in more on the defensive side of the ball, and, could excel more as not having to be a true number one, but also still being able to have the room of taking over a game at times. I mean, I don't hate, it's a lot of money for him. It's a lot of money, which would be my concern, but I don't hate it for the Lakers there. DeMar DeRozan on the same team, obviously. I don't think that works because there's not enough perimeter shooting, but I just don't think that there are going to be that many stars available. Could they make a Godfather package for a Donovan Mitchell? Maybe. But the Cavs are playing unbelievable right now, and I just don't think that there's going to be the star talent on the market. So what do the Lakers need? They need shooting, baseline. That is very obvious, and it has been obvious. They're relying on a lot of guys who are very spotty. You have Rui Hachimura playing big minutes for them. Jared Vanderbilt can't really shoot a lick. And they've had shooters on their team. I think it's crazy that Malik Beasley's been one of the best shooters in the NBA this season. He was just sitting on the bench in LA last year when we were still sort of talking about the problems with shooting. Now, I think that an underrated part of the Lakers game here is they're actually very impressive running out in transition. I think better than I was expecting. I think that Cam Reddish has been solid for them. Torian Prince has been solid for them. I like their wing depth, honestly, for the most part. And they are 9th in the league in pace right now, and they play pretty well out of that high pace, which you wouldn't expect because of LeBron and AD being as old as they are, but part of it's just the maestro that LeBron is, being able to make huge passes out in transition and get those teams running. They do actually have a good amount of rookies and young players. Hood Schifino, Maxwell Lewis. They have Christie from last year that they drafted late. And I think that they're not super far away is the thing. Their season relies on LeBron and AD being healthy. As long as that happens, they should be a playoff team, and they should, I think, they come out of a play-in tournament. But when you look at the top of the West and you look at the Minnesotas, who I know a lot of people are down on them right now, may be fair, but really it's just all about the Nuggets. And eventually, once you get to the Suns, if they can fully come into their own, I don't think that they have the true offensive firepower to keep up with these teams. Their defense is good enough, but I don't think that they are a top team in their conference right now. And I think that they're going to have to be active in the trade deadline to improve their roster. So that is all I have for today. Thank you very much for tuning into the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't forget to like and follow. It helps us out a lot. And we will be back tomorrow. Thanks again.